This is NDDC Today.
Hello. Obimani Siokbo in the Kwere local government area had to be lit up after 2 years in darkness. That's the good news for the people of that area, propounded to them last week by no other than the acting managing director of the NDDC. Shows the NDDC is doing what it's supposed to do. But this week we're going to talk about partnerships. Now, no tree alone forms a forest. In international circles, cooperation is now so necessary because nobody knows it all. And the NDDC has always preferred that it doesn't have a solution to everything. Sometimes it needs experts, it needs those who have been experienced in the field before, and it needs those who have the resources to fund some project. So the NDDC is very zealous about creating partnerships. So this week we're going to take a look at a further partnership thrust of the NDDC. It's getting quite exciting. Welcome to NDDC Today. Don't go away. Hello. Now, recently, the executives of the NDDC took the partnership thrust across the oceans to America. Now, annually, there's an international conference called the OTC, Offshore Technology Conference, that draws various practitioners in the oil industry to a place to discuss new ideas and how to put the technology of producing and exploring oil forward. Now, the executives of the NDDC, led by the Executive Director of Finance, Dr. Chris Amadi, went to this conference this year not only to see the latest developments in technology of oil exploration, but also to forge very significant partnerships. So our story this week is looking at the various partnerships the NDDC has ever entered into by other stakeholders and experts, but particularly about this particular OTC initiative. In the year 2000, the federal government of Nigeria established the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. The marching order was, go, bring succor to the people whose livelihood have been compromised by the devastation occasioned by oil exploration and production activities over the decades. Repairs land, provide infrastructure for physical development, catalyze its economic growth so that the region can become economically prosperous, socially stable, ecologically regenerative, and politically peaceful. From inception, the Commission has been led by technocrats and seasoned administrators who have brought to bear their wealth of experience to make the difference. To realize its mandate and ensure that the people of the Niger Delta region enjoy the benefits of the huge sums of petrodollars realized from the exploration of crude oil resources in their domains, the NDDC has over the years collaborated with state and local governments, oil and gas companies, donor agencies, civil society organizations, community-based organizations, traditional institutions, foreign partners, as well as international organizations, particularly on projects with specific partnerships in order to make regional development a shared vision. For more than a decade, private and international investors have continued to indicate interest in collaborating with the NDDC in different areas of infrastructure and human development, such as agriculture, education, industries, telecommunications, oil and gas, tourism, and many more to develop the Niger Delta. Among such partnerships in the recent past has been with a Chinese firm, Sinotech Company Limited, where the NDDC opened discussions for the execution of a Niger Delta regional power pool project. Health is wealth, goes the old hackneyed saying. Therefore, the sound health of the people of the Niger Delta region is taken seriously by the Commission, And this has prompted the NDDC to take giant steps over the years to improve the healthcare delivery system of the people of the Niger Delta. Towards this end, one of the collaborations the NDDC has entered into was with the government of Germany. This partnership seeks the German government's collaboration for the establishment of an enduring and functional world-class cancer center in the Niger Delta. The European Union is not left out in the NDDC's collaborative efforts towards ensuring the development of the region. In this regard, the NDDC has continued to collaborate with the European Union through the Niger Delta Support Program (NDSP) to resuscitate dysfunctional and abandoned water infrastructures across the Niger Delta. And that's not all. The NDDC is also partnering with the European Union to execute a State Employment and Expenditure for Results project, C4, valued at a whopping cost of $280 million or 102 billion naira.
We are happy to be here and happy to cooperate with the Nddc and support you in the good work you're doing.
Before the discovery of crude oil in Nigeria in 1957, the Nigerian economy was dependent, as everybody knows, on agriculture. With the oil boom in the 70s, agriculture was relegated to the background. And with the passage of time, its significant contribution to Nigeria's GDP began to wane, of course. As a responsible government agency, the NDDC is championing the cause for the revival of agriculture in Nigeria's economy through its different programs and partnerships. One of such partnerships is with the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, on a $60 million investment job creation in the Niger Delta region.
One fine day, IFAD, FGN, NDDC came into our community. From that day, everything changed automatically. They assisted us in building a complete processing mill for us. And they also protect the place. The place is very, very secure now. They also provide us borehole water. Because there was no borehole, we were drilling from that well. We were using the well water in processing. So since then, things changed, and we are very, very happy.
On the home front, the Commission is working out a public-private partnership program for the establishment of a modular refinery, starting with Amakbe International Refinery in Akwa Ibom State. Road construction in the Niger Delta region is a major project embarked upon by the Commission across the 9 mandate states of the region. Sometimes the huge cost involved may be too heavy for the Commission to bear alone. Towards this end, the NDDC is collaborating with state governments in the region to embark on major road reconstructions. One of such instances is the MOU the Commission signed with the Ondo State government for the construction of the 50-kilometer Akodo-Araromi-Igbeju-Lekki road connecting Ondo and Lagos states. And that's not all. The Commission has also signed an MOU for the construction of the Benin-Abraka road with the government of Edo State. In Delta State, the NDDC is also working to partner with the Delta State government on the construction of the Omadino-Okerinkoko-Escravos road. Now, the promotion of tertiary education is a major aspect of NDDC's intervention in the Niger Delta region, as the Commission has sustained the postgraduate foreign scholarship program it began in 2010. So far, many indigents of the Niger Delta have benefited from the scholarship program, which seeks to build capacity and fill the manpower gap in strategic sectors of the region's economy, especially oil and gas. The current management of the NDDC, led by Professor Nelson Brembaefa, is deepening the partnership that exists between the Commission and universities abroad to enhance its human capital programs. Towards this end, not soon after his assumed office early this year, the acting MD of the NDDC led a team of the Commission's management on a working visit to some universities in the United Kingdom. The visit to the UK was to find a way of resolving the challenges NDDC scholars were facing in their various universities. The visit offered the NDDC management the opportunity to explore the prospect of deepening its partnership with the foreign universities.
Students have been neglected in Europe who are supposed to be sponsored by us. They've been neglected. I went to Coventry and Manchester to address them. That is there's a new sheriff in town. It's a new beginning. They have been there all this time. Not even take-off grant was sent to them. Landlords are pushing them all over the place. Those are Nigerians like you. So I want to stop that. That's why I went out.
For the first time, from what we gathered, the visit, what is called monitoring and evaluation, was done at the highest level, where executives of the Commission personally went on fact-finding to ascertain the extent of support we are getting from these institutions and get the proper feedback from our students. So in the course of this visit, we were able to resolve some outstanding issues, some issues that were lingering before we came on board, and we also leveraged on the opportunity to create and foster new areas of partnership.
This is the first time an MD from NDDC and also an Executive Director of Finance have gone into the UK to visit any of our scholars. This is just to show them love, that they actually care about them, that NDDC cares about them and they haven't forgotten them.
With the issue of the challenges NDDC scholars were facing in the UK sorted out, their attention shifted to the United States of America, where a good number of students also study in various universities. Like its determination to ensure that NDDC scholars studying abroad got the best of the scholarship awards, the Acting Executive Director, Finance and Administration of the NDDC, Dr. Chris Amadi, led a delegation of the Commission to the United States, where it met officials of some universities in the state. One of such visits took the NDDC delegation to Texas Southern University. Among other things, the meeting discussed opportunities for scholars from the Niger Delta region in the university concerning their scholarships and other exchange programs. Welcoming the NDDC acting EDFA and his entourage to his office, the provost of the Texas Southern University, Dr. Kendall Harris, said that the institution had programs that could train the NDDC scholars in various engineering courses, especially in the area of oil and gas, which he admitted that the Niger Delta region was richly endowed with. He said that the courses offered by his university would offer the scholars skilled opportunities that would guarantee them jobs back home in Nigeria at the end of their training.
We have engineering, electrical and civil engineering, we have maritime services, we have environmental sciences. We can definitely enhance those aspects of the oil and gas industry. Because one of the things, and you're probably already thinking about this, is some of your partners in the oil and gas industries can sponsor some of your students. You can say basically send them over here, get their formal training, they go back home to work.
Responding, Dr. Amadi appealed to the authorities of Texas Southern University to assist the NDDC scholars in one critical area, which had always hampered their journey to the United States: the processing of visa to enter the United States. According to Dr. Amadi, The NDDC was not happy with instances where its scholars had been denied visas even after they had been offered scholarships to study in that country.
We've had instances where some of our scholars go for visa interviews even after they have scholarships from us to study in the US, and they still turn them down.
Really?
Yes. So
Really?
that's because we didn't have clear relationship with the institution.
Okay.
If we have clear relationship with you,
Yeah.
we would expect you beyond issuing
I-20.
I-20. Beyond issuing I-20, we expect you to do additional follow-ups with the embassies.
Right,
So that
right.
our students will have
Yeah.
visas and find their way in here. So
That's
we
it.
need to identify what roles you need to play
Yeah.
and see how, John, if you understand what I mean, and see how we can,
Yeah.
maybe they can get you or get their lawyers or whatever involved
Right.
in the process of, so that we can, if you have students we want to send in here,
Yeah.
get them in a batch
Yes.
and get the embassy to issue them all visas.
Poverty alleviation in the Niger Delta region was another area in which the acting executive director sought partnership.
Two, we are hoping that as a give back to our region, that is, like I said to you earlier, there is prevalent poverty in our region, and we need to also work to alleviate poverty.
While still in the United States, the NDDC delegation met with officials of the office of the mayor of the city of Houston. Just like the meeting with the officials of the Texas State University, the meeting with the officials of the mayor of Houston was also very fruitful. The NDDC team was received by the director in the office of the International Trade and Partnership, Christopher Olson. Mr. Olson acknowledged the contextual similarities between the city of Houston and many cities in the Niger Delta region, and offered to use his office to promote the partnership between the city of Houston and the NDDC in areas like infrastructural development and environmental protection. Acknowledging that the Niger Delta region was a potential investment destination, Mr. Olson also offered to influence the collaboration of several private sector entities from Houston who are likely to be interested in doing business in the Niger Delta region. The annual Offshore Technology Conference, OTC, for 2019 was held in the city of Houston, Texas, United States of America. The OTC gives energy professionals across the world the opportunity to meet and exchange ideas, create business relationships, advance scientific and technological knowledge for offshore resources and environmental matters. More than 60,000 professionals from 100 countries attended the event. The OTC ranks among the largest 25 trade shows held annually in the United States and is among the 10 largest meetings in terms of attendance. And it's of course annually is of great interest to the NDDC.
OTC is the premier opportunity globally to meet with the experts, to learn about cutting-edge technology, to enjoy the vast array of equipment and new technologies out on the OTC floor and honor to the distributors. It's also a great opportunity to network, to learn about what's new, who's doing what, and to build connections that'll last you for the rest of your career.
You'll see how we're leveraging technology to operate differently, right? New ways of servicing our customers, new ways of interacting with our suppliers, and most importantly, how do we engage our employees, whether that's through virtual reality experiences, that's with new ways of harnessing data.
I was very glad to be in OTC this year. We see a lot more movement of people, you know. What we see in the market, what we've been feeling in the last few months in the market is picking up back again, and we see the movement in OTC. They see the level of the different stands, including ours, which I think is a great stand this year, but the level of other stands, people are really back and investing.
Nigeria's main objective in the 2019 OTC was to promote investment and collaboration opportunities for Nigeria's oil and gas companies. Like it has been in successive events of the OTC, the NDDC again was there this year. In the 2019 edition of the OTC, officials of the NDDC looked for partners who could collaborate in developing some of the potentials of the Niger Delta by taking advantage of the numerous opportunities in the region. While in Houston, the NDDC delegation took the opportunity to meet with the officials of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC, and discussed issues bordering on opportunities for the participation of the private sector operators to complement the efforts of the Commission. An important milestone from the NDDC ICRC meeting is that a joint committee will be established to take the agreement forward from both organizations. Mr. Ansem Agumo is the Director of Planning, NDDC.
The reason we are here is to also explore ways and means of collaborating with other private organizations to deliver projects to the region. That is why we have thought it fit to come around here to seek the collaboration of the ICRC to seek ways and means. This is just a preliminary meeting with them, which we intend to explore to ensure that we bring development to the region. Because the whole essence of creating the Niger Delta Development Commission is to bring development to the region. And we think we cannot do it alone.
The executives of the NDDC, led by its Executive Director of Finance, Dr. Chris Amadi, in faraway USA, forging partnerships. Now, back home, the NDDC always tries to meet up to its promises. 2 months ago, they visited Ikwere local government area, Ubimani Siopo to be precise, where the community have been deprived of electricity for the past 2 years. Now, would you believe it? Then the Brian Baifa-led NDDC team promised the community that they would restore power. And now that promise is being fulfilled.
The acting managing director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, Professor Nelson Brambaifa, has pledged to commission a pilot power project that will restore electricity to Ubima and Isiokpo in Ikwere local government area of River State before the end of the month. Professor Brambaifa gave the assurance when he paid a courtesy visit to the chairman of the Supreme Council of Ikwere Traditional Rulers, Eze Blessing Wago, Nyewali, Isiokpo, in his palace. He was accompanied by the NDDC Acting Executive Director of Finance and Administration, Dr. Chris Amadi, and other directors of the Commission who were on inspection of projects in Ozoba, Ubima, and Isiokpo. Professor Nelson Brambaifa said that he was shocked to learn that the kingdom had been without public power supply for over 2 years. He described the situation as anomalous and absurd, stating that the situation needed to be corrected urgently as part of a region-wide intervention of communities in the Niger Delta. The NDDC boss said that the Commission was determined to face challenges of development to improve the lives of the people. He promised that the electricity project, which is almost complete, will be commissioned in the next 2 weeks. Professor Brambaifa said that the NDDC was using the restoration project of Ubima Isiokpo as a pilot scheme that would eventually cover all the other distressed areas in the Niger Delta region.
The idea is clear. We want to provide 24/7 electricity to Ubima as a pilot case. From there we can go around to other communities. The idea is just to provide basic needs you have, water and light. We start with light.
He appealed to the traditional rulers and benefiting communities to ensure that electricity infrastructure in their areas were protected from vandals and other miscreants.
No vandalization. We'll hand over the projects to you. We expect the CDC chairman or the chiefs here to make sure that there's no vandalization. Let's show that we can keep what is good Nothing will draw wire here, you vandalize it and use it for something else. That's not going to happen.
The Managing Director of Income Electricity Limited, the contractor handling the project, Mr. Matthew Ediebie, explained that the entire Ikwere local government area was going to be served by two sources of power, one from Ahoda and the other from Rumasi substations. He charged the people to realize that the power asset was being provided for their own good and should therefore be secured. He urged them to also note that it was important to pay for the power they consume to ensure that the providers were able to sustain the service, adding that electricity supply was like a commodity that should be paid for to guarantee continued service.
Electricity is not free, so we strongly appeal to the community that for us to sustain and make sure this example that the EDFA and the MD has graciously brought here to make sure that light is here 24/7. It can only be sustained if we also pay for the light that we consume. So we manage our light in such a way that we are able to pay for the one we consume.
He remarked that NDDC had made provision for the supply of some prepaid meters to be distributed free to poor consumers in the community.
There's a provision for some meters by the Commission also. These meters are going to be given to the poorer people. We expect the richer people to buy their own meters because the meter may not be enough for everybody. So that everybody, when you have a prepaid meter, just like your cell phone, as you go buy your credit, you go also buy your credit for your light.
Now, of course, other parts of the Niger Delta are also waiting for their promises to be fulfilled. As we'll tell you next week, another major electrical program, this time in Ondo State, is also nearing its completion. We'll have details of that for you next week. Thank you for watching. We'll be here every week to tell you just what the new executive is doing to actualize the mandate of developing the Niger Delta. See you next week.